Oh, hold on. What I may do when you turn it over to me, I may introduce this first, tell about my first book, and then I'll say how this came about.
All right. All right. Welcome to Take It to the Streets. This is my first interview on Take It to the Streets with my man, Kenny Scott, Ruck Inc. Our guest today is author Queen Deborah, right?
Yes, sir. Queen Deborah.
And when I first saw it, I was like, Queen Deborah. He said, no, it's not that. That's what he said first. So, Queen Deborah.
Yes.
So, I started reading your second book. I didn't get to read it all, but you said you had a first book.
I do. I'm so in love. These are both my babies, but my primary one is Turning to My Turning Point. This first book was written in 2021. I call it WON because no matter the circumstance that I was in, I still won. It's about turning from self-will, turning God's will to get the ultimate turning points. This book was birthed in 2 days. I wrote it in 2 days, sent it to my publishers in 8 days. In 8 months, they published it.
Really?
Yes, and four principles of faith, relationships, forgiveness. And a lot of times forgiveness has to do with forgiving ourselves. A lot of
Right.
people struggle in life because of mistakes, hindrances, and a lot of times we are our own hindrances and mistakes
Absolutely.
because we cause it, bring it on ourselves.
Blocking
But
your blessings.
yes, we do, and we can. And then the fourth principle is also restoration. So these are the things that God has done and doing in my life. A lot of the excerpts that I put on the back of the book, of my first book, which I love, one in particular is life never gives us a heads up of all the turbulences, winding roads, and the hard times, the headaches and the heartaches and disappointments that we may have to be endured. If we are just totally honest with ourselves, some of these storms of life, we bring them upon ourselves, especially when we do not obey that still small voice. Can you agree with that?
I totally agree.
A lot of things that people, if it's a disagreement, if it's a bad relationship, you see red flags before you get in. So this book deals a lot with that fork in the road when you have to make that ultimate decision. And sometimes it's a painful one.
Right.
And a lot of times people don't understand, even though it's painful, if you make the right decision at the right time, it can blossom something beautiful. So because that was purpose was birthed for me, it birthed my second book that you are reading right now. My pain birthed my purpose and my passion. I snapped out of it. And the climax of this book is I snapped out of it before I snapped.
Right on.
I love it because, like we was talking earlier, like the movie Snapped, I have that in here, or the show Snapped. A lot of those people, they got to a breaking point, a pushing point. They were in a relationship. They were either being abused or the abuser.
Yes.
And they just heightened the situation by snapping.
Right.
And then they almost got away with it.
Some of them did.
Right. I know, right?
Some of them did, but the climax again is you're going to snap out of it before you snap. And the main thing is what I want people to understand, 2023 is not going to be any different if you don't have a different mindset. A new year is not going to be a new you unless your mindset has changed. So if you keep doing the same thing you always done, the definition of insanity, you're going to get the same results.
Right.
So right now, on January 7th, you got to decide and say, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to snap out of it. If it's a toxic relationship, unhealthy, whether it's family, friend, or foe, some changes you just got to make for your own sanity and your own peace.
Yes. I totally agree. I love the title, My Purpose and My Passion. I'm living it right now.
Awesome.
I want to go back to having a snap moment. I've shared this with my friend over here. The past relationship, I snapped, right?
Okay, what was your snap?
I rebuked her.
Okay, help me out.
Enough. I'm not gonna go into detail on what we
Okay.
was going through in our relationship, but at that moment, I had to rebuke. I've never rebuked a person.
Okay, so I mean, your adrenaline was just like
Yes,
an umpteen power.
yes. That was it.
Yeah.
And we was gone from there. I took the boys, and we left.
Yeah.
So that was a snapping moment. I thank God that was I didn't like pick up a weapon or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But my snap was more inside, more spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Like, be gone, demon.
I'm right there with you. I'm telling you, that's where the premise of my first book came from.
Right.
In a toxic, unhealthy relationship. And again, that fork in the road, like you said, you was like, I'm done. You rebuked that devil. And you was like, let me get out of it.
Yeah.
Some people don't do that.
Right.
You know, I've been doing, you know, especially on social media, they'll post, or this person killed this person, or even a man just killed his whole family of 8. You know, another man in California recently tried to kill his wife and his kids by jumping off a 250-foot cliff.
Right, right.
And they all survived.
Right.
You know, why? People are snapping in their minds. This was a doctor.
Right.
You know, so it's like no matter your status quo, if you're not holistic within yourself,
Right.
if you're not temperate, and even just knowing where you are in that moment,
Right.
and even a lot of people leave in 2022, they can be like, oh, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to keep being around this person.
Right.
You know, even that young lady that got killed in Mexico, she went with a group of friends. She thought they were friends, and people still around people just to go along and get along.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know. That's crazy. So let's get into my purpose and my passion. Chapter 1, reflections.
Yes. Well, I will give honor to my late pastor, Bishop Dr. Michael Ford Sr. He passed away during the time of COVID. And one of his sermons that always stayed with me was, I admit it, I did it, and I quit it. But when I came to my situation, my fork in the road, what highlighted for me was I snapped out of it. So that's the 4 principles that I have embraced for my second book is, you know, and I really see this as a book of mercy for me, because God told me when I wrote this book last year, you know, I wrote both of them in the same year, but I released my Pain Birthed My Purpose in 2022. And God let me know I had mercy on you. To the great extent, I really don't know what that means, but the definition of mercy is when someone's showing lenience, kindness. They're not giving you what you deserve. So I'm grateful to the great extent. I don't know what all God protected me from, but I know when he said, I have mercy on you, I don't even want to know what that aftermath could have been. So that's the reflection of I snapped out of it, and I'm grateful. I'm eternally grateful. It placed me in one of my divine purposes.
All right. So let's go to the chapter 2, the shift.
Yes, well, the shift has to do with in life. Just think about it. Like you said, when you was coming out of your situation, it had to be a resolve within yourself. What am I going to do at this moment? You know, even in my first book, a lot of people do. For me, I usually do a T-chart. And sometimes it can be a way of manipulating your mind, you know, convince yourself either to stay in the situation or to come out of it. So this shift for me was, for this book and understanding the shifts in my life, a lot of times it comes from where somebody spoke something, a word to you, a situation occurred where, again, like you stated, I just have to change from this. So this shift in my life and looking over my life, when I had written this book, it brought me back to the thought of a librarian in 2009. She was retiring from JCPS, and she was just like, Queen, I'm going to give you a journal. And she had no idea that I had already been journaling for over, at that time, 10 years. And she said, this is for your future books. And even to this day, I wish I knew, or if I could pass by her to let her know, she spoke a prophetic word that I had no idea about. That later, 11, 12 years later, that I would be an author and writing a book about a situation that's not only blessed me, I have hundreds and thousands of people that have told me, and when I meet them, and even today at an event, a conference, a beautiful women's conference, I can't wait to read your book. It's a tool. It's a guidance.
Right.
And it's my own efforts and understanding, you know, some things are just not within yourself. Sometimes, you know, you just get that word and that help and that prevention to help you shift to where you need to go. So now in 2023, in the beginning of this year, first quarter, people need to know what they're going to do right now in this shift. Are you going to stay where you are? Are you going to shift to the next phase? So I'm grateful for this shift in my life right now.
Right. I mean, I'm a writer. I can't say that I'm an author because I haven't written any books. But everything I write comes through what I'm going through. But I'm a comedic writer.
Okay.
I laugh at my pain. It's kind of different. I see it's kind of different with you. So if you wouldn't have gone through any of this stuff, do you think you still would be an author?
Be honest. I don't know. I mean, like I said, before.
Fiction, maybe.
Well, the funny thing about it is, I have been journaling. Now I'm going over 24 years, but when I wrote this book, over 21 years, I had no idea. But God knew the situation and the circumstance that would ignite one of my divine purpose. And that's the reason I say my pain birthed my purpose. A lot of people don't understand,
Right.
even though a situation may be painful in your life, you may be crying tears of regret. But if you snap out of it,
Right.
really write down everything that's going on, how either in life you're going to do one or two things. You're going to fight or flight. You know, you're going to either stay in this situation or you're going to move on. There's only one ways to move.
Right.
You know, so snapping out of things right now, moving on, you just got to know what to do in that moment. And I'm telling you, if you just center yourself, something beautiful can come out of that pain that you're in. But you have to take a minute to step back. You
Right.
can't be in pain and react. It doesn't create a wonderful atmosphere.
Right.
So you might snap in the wrong direction.
Right.
So
Speaking of the book, can you hold the book up so people can see that?
yes, this is the. All right, got it.
All right, yeah.
This is on Amazon, hardcover, paper, and Kindle. You can get this on Amazon, or my LLC is on Facebook, Loving the Uniquely You LLC. And I tell people, look for that $1 million smile, that $1 million picture. And I'm telling you, these books are going to bless you. A lot of times, the best stories are those that lived and walked through it. And even what you said, Vincent, really, even though you haven't written a book, you can. It's in you because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
already writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, definite.
Yeah.
Just got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems easy.
Yeah. I mean, and really when I wrote mine, I didn't know where to begin, where to go. Everything, as soon as I was obedient, when God told me to write my book, I was obedient. Everything just seemed like it just downloaded.
Right.
I didn't know who to look for a publisher, and anybody out there that want to write a book. It's not hard. Only limits we have is what we put on ourselves.
Right.
I really believe in living a limitless and a fearless life.
Right.
You know, if you're moving in fear, you're not going to go far.
Right.
If you living in withdrawal, concerned about what people think or say, you're not going to go far.
Right.
You have to be fearless and know that there's no limits, only what you put on yourself.
Right. That brings us to chapter 3, right?
Okay.
Destiny, aka purpose.
Yes, and actually, this was my own personal experience. Again, this book about pain, birth, and purpose, it goes back through a lot of areas of reflection in my life. My birthday's next month, and I can really say,
Right.
Happy early birthday.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I celebrate the whole month of February. So shout out to all the February royal babies out there. I know I just skipped the January babies, but happy birthday.
You
But-
can't skip January. My mom's birthday is in January.
All right.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Yes, look. Throw it in there early. But this book came from when I was in an abusive marriage. I was married 7 years. And this person, I was warned about this relationship. And it's funny, a lot of times when you're in things, you already, you have your gut feelings. And that's what I have in my first book. Follow your heart, your gut, and your instincts. You already know. But a lot of times people want to live it out, put themselves, and that's the topic in here. Why is pain the best teacher? Why do we put ourselves through so much hell that we don't have to put ourselves in?
Right.
Well, why? So, okay, destiny. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I wasn't gaining any weight. I was living out of states in California, and the doctors were concerned about where I was going to have my child because I was in a very unhealthy, toxic environment. So, and that's one of the highlights and inserts I put in my book. Were you birthing your child? You can't if you're birthing anything out of pain, a lot of times, and I put that in here, destiny too, postpartum depression. A lot of women, when I had my daughter in 99, a lot of people that wasn't the highlight of postpartum depression. So where you're birthing a child has a lot to do with the outcome of that child. A lot of times people, when they birthing things out of pain, especially with a child, that baby feels everything that mom is feeling. And with my daughter, I wasn't gaining weight. The doctors were concerned. So I came back to Kentucky and had my daughter. And before I named her Destiny, it was two other names I was looking at, Deja or Diamond. But because I was going through so much, I was like, no, I was seeing Destiny everywhere. I was like, okay, her name's going to be Destiny. So I named her Destiny. But before even my baby got here, a thought of suicide came to me. And even like now in society, you see in people, and that's the reason I say no matter how much money you have, money is not the answer to everything, because it's the wealth and the rich. A lot of people that are wealthy and rich are killing themselves. So go ahead, Vincent.
No, I wouldn't. Me personally, like in the toxic environment, I've had thoughts of killing, but it's not myself.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's just that when you get to that low mark, and for me, I got married young. I was 20. I was a virgin, green, and I felt like for this guy to have treated me so bad, why? My former pastor used to say this: why in the ham and cheese? Why in the heck did I stay or wait so long to be treated so bad?
Right.
And especially, like I said, I was a church kid, never known no man, and to be treated so demeaned. When I'm valuable, rare. This day and times you don't see people that's holding a virginity for years.
Right.
So it was a very low place for me. It was a very hurtful place.
Right.
And thoughts of suicide came to me, in which I knew it was the devil.
Right.
And he was like, I was pregnant with my daughter, and the devil told me to swallow my prenatal vitamins. And God immediately spoke to me. And I know it was God because it came rushing, because I thought I was contemplating it. And God spoke to me. He said, immediately when you do that, you're going to open your eyes in hell.
Right.
I snapped out of that moment.
Right, I bet.
I had to, because now looking back over my life, that would not only cancel my destiny and purpose, that would have canceled the destiny and purpose that was coming. And my kids have been my saving grace.
Yeah.
When I wanted to veer and steer away, not only did God keep his hand on my life, because what I've ingrained in my kids, they would remind me, like, Mom, you know better. Yeah. Why are you acting like that? Right. And so I thank God for both my young adults. They're both honor roll kids. They stayed in honor roll, elementary, middle, and high school. My daughter just graduated from college, cum laude. She kept a 3.4 and higher her whole 4 years in college. Just got offered a great career to get started. So, again, if I would have listened to that moment of snapping out of it, and didn't snap out of it, that could have canceled destiny. So the Bible says the goal of the devil always is to kill, steal, and destroy. And God said, Jesus said, I come that you might have life. Right. So now that I've reached my turning point and pain has birthed purpose, and I snapped out of that wretched thinking and lifestyle, now I'm entering the best season of my life. Yeah. Last year what seemed to be the worst of times, God told me it has become the best of times for me, because now I'm in one of my divine purpose. Right. So again, for somebody out there listening, if you're contemplating suicide, that is not the way to go.
Right. Right.
That is not the way to go. You have a lot to live for. Your kings and queens. And you got to embrace that for you. You got to know that you have value. Can't nobody beat you at being you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if y'all watching, anybody, how many viewers we got, man? Y'all need to share. Whoever's watching, y'all need to share this. Y'all need to share this information.
Yeah, because this can help somebody.
This can help every black chick in the West End.
Well, you saying that? Hold up, Vincent. Let me throw this insert in there. Right? Yeah. But look, men are one of my number one buyers and supporters.
It can help us too, because women like you, we don't see y'all enough.
Okay.
That's we're not raised by women like you.
Yeah.
Growing up, we might see a counselor or one teacher.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, we're not shown visually. We're just not around smart intelligent, soulful women. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And but think about it, with you saying that, when I'm at conferences and speaking engagements, even today, events that I'm at, I'm quick to let people know what you see is mercy. They'll be like, "Oh, Queen, you're so beautiful. You're so pretty." I said, "But what you see is grace, and what you see is mercy. Because if God didn't hold on to me, if He didn't preserve me, give me grace and have mercy, I don't know where I would be.
Right.
I don't think I'll be this beautiful and
You
pretty.
just can't just look at the body and the face.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm saying this as an older guy, but I saw that as a younger man too. You don't just go by the face and the body. You got to go by the morals and the foundation of it. You know what I'm saying?
it has a lot to do with a person,
Oh, my
their
God.
environment, where they came from, their
Right.
upbringing,
Right.
families. Yes,
know?
everything.
Don't judge me. I'm not. I'm just, I'm not just gonna just put myself in a situation like that.
Right, definitely. Well, that brings me to a quote I put in my book, and I gave Michael Basden. Shout out to Michael Basden. I gave him the credits in my book. He has a quote that you can't put a crown on a clown and expect a king. Well, for me, for my godly king, men can flip that for themselves. You can't put a crown and expect, on a woman, expect the queen if she ain't carrying herself that way. So, you can get whatever you want, but at this point, I'm not settling. I'm not compromising nothing.
I don't think you can. We can't make a queen. We got to find one. Y'all can build kings.
But you know what? I raised 2 kids. I'm not raising a grown man. I'm not going.
Well, I mean, that king is your son.
Well, I'm raising a king, but if we reverse that, men have daughters. They raise them to be queens, but it comes from intellectually embracing and building that foundation in them to know that. But like you said, once a man and people become adults,
Right.
that's where a lot of females, more in particular, and some men do too, because I heard one guy tell me he feel like, again, shout out to the men that got my book, all the hundreds and thousands out there. How you doing? But one thing, one guy told me he think sometimes men are more emotional than women.
Yeah.
And he said he really believed that.
I mean, we go through shit too.
Yeah. I mean,
But
and
we
you
was
do.
we was trained not to show our emotions, and that's what hurts us. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to be emotional creatures. You know what I'm saying? But
Wow. We cry and shit.
yeah. We go through pain. We go
Yeah.
through things
Yeah, that's
too.
bullshit.
You know.
I never agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be tough, but still.
Yeah.
Cry.
Well, that's why I tell my young king now, but think about it, you want to be around people that allow you to be yourself and not trying to make you them or like anybody else, but where you can be vulnerable. Because it's a lot of people that you can't be vulnerable like that with. So it's important to be in the right environment.
So,
So
right.
you can be that way.
So are you so much a queen that there's no king out there for you?
Look, no. I will put this insert in there. I know God has a godly king for me. The very reason is He has preserved me over and over from all the Jekyll and Hydes.
Right.
So at this point, in coming to who I am and understanding, most importantly,
Right.
whose I am a child of the Most High God. King Jesus, His name is in the heavens imprinted on me. I know that I belong to God.
Right.
And belonging to God, now I know I do not compromise and settle anything outside of the will of God.
Right.
So, Amos 3:3, how can 2 walk together except they agree? So the man of God He has for me, I believe He has the same and greater anointing. There's not a compromise in this. So now, like I said, just knowing who I am, to each his own, like all of the hundreds and thousands of guys that I met, even from my book club, I will tell them I have not been out with any of them.
Right.
I've got plenty of offers.
Right.
I have not been out with any of them. Ever since God brought me to my turning point, I am like a flint right now before God. And that's my prayer is God keep me as a flint. That to know without Him I'm nothing. But
Right.
I'm not entertaining nothing
Right.
until God just let me know this is He.
Right.
So like I said, my speaking engagements, I love it. I love people. I love engaging with people. I love the crowds, but dating, anything personal, hanging out, I just don't do it. I just
Right.
don't have the time for it.
Right. I understand that. We I know we live. We need while we doing these interviews, man, doing it with me. We're gonna need like some cuts and some bathroom breaks. We're gonna do this next chapter, man. I'm gonna walk out. Chapter 4: Facing the noise.
Wow, facing the noise has to do with facing the noise has to do with a lot of times people are different behind closed doors. You know, they come out smiling and giggling, or I mean, it's a different persona. And this mainly had to do with the person I was living with when I was married. And I mean, but there's people in general. They want to come out. They want the people to praise them and parade around them, be around them. But behind closed doors, my kids can say, "What you see is what you get." I'm not this fickle up and down. No, and I'm really learning to embrace who God made me. Either we in or we out.
Yeah, yeah. That's just like the media nowadays. Mm-hmm. Everybody's online living their best life. Best. If you look at it, look like they don't have no problems.
Right.
They're whining and dining, going places, and but it's all facade. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Well, I think people be either trying to smoke. A lot of time, people be trying to drink their lives away. They think what they need, the answer is in a bottle. Their answer is in a man or woman. But truly, with me being here and even speaking about my books, I have to let people understand and know there's a void in us that only God can fill. People looking for it in money and sex, and they end up still unsatisfied. Or if they're satisfied, it's temporarily. It's nothing long lasting.
Right. It's nothing like having somebody in your corner, having that warm feeling in your heart.
Yep.
That person, knowing that person is there for you, regardless.
Yep.
So, and that is so hard to find nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with that. It's just, I feel like with that, and what just hit me is, people have to accept yourself. A lot of time, just think from the time that we were kids, being raised in a house, go to school, go to a job, go home. People are always trying to conform you to the way they want you. But if you ever get to the place and that's where I am now in my place, one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible that God, it's like he thundered this to me when 2023 hit, is that Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the belly," before we even came to existence on knowing who we are, before our parents knew who we are, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. Before you came out the womb, he said, I sanctified you. I ordained you. So although eyes in there is the eyes of power. So a lot of times people, because they are not accepting of who they are, they always trying to conform. They always trying to fit in, not embracing who they are. So they struggle. When you know who you are, a lot of time, like the saying is, it's lonely at the top. Eagles fly at the top. When you're an eagle, you don't got time for pigeons. You don't got time for doves.
Right.
You an eagle. So a lot of times I really feel what people, once you embrace who you are, know who you are, all the right people will come along. Like right now, people ask me with my LLC when I go places, who's your administrator? Who's this? I am. Until God give me the help, and he's going to give me the help, and it's coming. But I'm so busy in my purpose, I don't got time for nothing else.
Right.
I don't got time for he say, she say. I'm not caught up in that. If my name ever got some junk and mess like that, people put it in it. People can't say my kids, I don't got time. I'm not nobody's trash can. You ain't bringing it to me. I just don't have time for it. So again, for anybody out there, it's time to embrace yourself. Love you from head to toe. Before you got here, God made you. Wait a minute, I said if I could have added anything to myself, we could have formed ourselves. When we was formed, God didn't ask us, how do you want your hair? How do you want your legs? Man, I said, I would love some dimples. I've been smiling in my sleep all night, all day. Bow legs, So different things we will all say we want about ourselves. But the most importantly thing, what you can do for yourself is learn to accept yourself, embrace yourself. No one can beat you at being you. So if you always compare yourself, there's a scripture in the Bible said that a person who compares themselves among somebody else, you're not wise. because you're taking away from your own worth and your own self value.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I forget. We're gonna go forward, but I'm gonna go back a little bit. I forget what chapter it was. I think it's one of the either the introduction or one of the first few chapters where you were talking about taming the tongue.
Okay.
I can't
Well,
because
okay.
I speak the truth. To me, taming the tongue is like letting someone bully you or someone just feeding you bullshit, right? People who tame the tongue let that shit affect them. I bounces it off. You know, I bounce it right back. You know, the taming the tongue, I can tame the tongue when it comes to like wanting to say something evil to make somebody's day bad.
Okay.
That's just not in me. But as far as reflection, the evil, I can't tame the tongue.
He's trying to say when somebody comes at you wrong.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll say this. For me, I don't curse at all.
Right.
I can be hot as a firecracker.
Yeah. You don't have to, I don't have to curse. I can
Let you know.
I do it in humor.
Look, I can let you know how to get off in a very sophisticated way. But the Bible talk about the tongue being a small member, but it will set something on fire.
Yep.
And what does fire do? Consume it, bring it down to ashes to nothing. So for me, have I been perfect? No, I have not. And like I said, I could be hot as a firecracker, but I don't curse.
Right.
But one thing I can say, when God birthed my purpose and brought my books about in my life, he has taught me the importance of when to say, how to say, and when not.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have that.
Right.
So again, being a godly author, you know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says you have to be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Because at times in my life when I was very forward, I didn't know that things I would say could hurt somebody.
Right.
So that's where taming the tongue come in. You got to know your people, you know, and that's one thing I tell God in my time of prayer is I thank God he understands me, understanding the sense of, you know, he's not, if it was up to us, we would condemn people to hell. We would, you know, people be living in shacks, you know, with nothing. You know, we could really use our tongues to really dismember somebody. We would.
Right.
But thank God he understands us, how he made us and who we are. But he also gives us the wisdom to know, one, how to tame your tongue, how to watch your tongue, what to say, when to say it. And then right now I'm in a place where if you bring out the worst in me, I just know I got to stay away from you. Character matters in everything.
Right.
So if we don't gel, like I said, at this point, I'm understanding we either in or we out. That's family, friend, or foe.
Right.
If we're not like that, you have to accept it, move on. Does the acceptance feel good? It don't.
Right.
But you got to know when to move on.
Amen to that. You know Rhonda Joseph? Who wants you know Rhonda?
No, I have not heard of Rhonda Joseph.
She's.
Yeah. Well,
We need to
I
get
don't know
Rhonda
if
up
she
in here,
knows
man.
or not. Yeah. We need to do that one day.
Yeah, for real. It's our people. She pastor, books, same
awesome.
spiritual queen, just
Awesome.
like yourself.
Okay, awesome. Love to meet her.
For sure. This is not your only episode you're gonna do now. We need to get your word across like on a monthly basis. You know what I'm saying? Some type of segment.
I agree with that.
For real.
I agree with that.
For people who don't read. Everybody don't read.
Yeah. Well, you know, people tell me they don't, but I tell them, with these books, you will. And I really feel a lot of people, I tell them read the back of the book because that's what's going to captivate you. For me, as a reader and as an author, if I read the introduction and the first couple pages, if it doesn't gravitate or captivate me, I'm out. So I feel like from the cover to the rear, my book is captivating.
Right. So if you had someone famous to do the audio version of your book, who would you have do it?
Ooh.
Viola Davis.
No. Actually, I wouldn't mind.
Michelle Obama.
That would be good. Because in here, and someone mentioned it to me, I might have to even look into that myself because it's nothing like people hearing it from your voice.
True.
So first, I would say I would love to do my own audio.
That's what I was gonna say. Why don't you record your own audio?
Yeah, yeah. And look, we can come in here and do it.
Yeah,
Because
we
I
can
love
set
the
that up.
sound. This setup sounds good. So,
Right.
yeah, I really, because people reading it, I think, because, you know, you use all your adjectives and your punctuations to really try to get your point across in a book. But really to read it from my process and my journey, it will come off a little different.
Right.
So, but it is on Kindle. But yeah, that's something in near future, and especially as I'm more catapulted in my purpose. A lot of those things are forthcoming. So I'm excited. I haven't even scratched the surface of where I'm going and what God's going to help me do.
Amen. So, chapter 5. We got 3 more chapters we're going to talk about. There's more chapters, but
Yes.
you know, we want people to read the book.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, chapter 5, rebuilding of oneself.
Yes. That's one thing a lot of people don't do when they're coming out of a painful situation.
Right.
The first thing that hits a lot of people is depression. You know, especially if it's coming out of a relationship because they really hurt from it.
Right.
You know, so either you're going to lay there in the bed,
Moping and
reminisce about what happened,
Right.
all the time you gave,
Right,
you know.
right.
So that's the reason, like in my first book, and I keep jumping back and forth, but the thoughts are coming to me as I'm talking about it. One of the thoughts was God told me haste make ways.
right.
So that's the reason now, walking in my purpose and one of my divine purposes with passion, time is something I value,
Right.
and I'm watching where I spend it.
Right. Absolutely.
It's expensive. We can get clothes, we can get jewelry, we can get houses, cars, all that we can get back. But your time you give out,
Get that time back.
you can't never get that time back. All this,
Yeah, they said the richest man is a man with time.
I believe that.
I don't know. They don't. Prisoners get time, man.
No.
I know,
That's
I know,
that's
I
not
know.
how you spend time.
Look, they're all like,
With
they
no,
losing time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
losing time, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, because that's time away from their
Time
families,
to
their
do,
kids.
Time to do everything that you need to do to
Enjoy
provide.
life.
Enjoy,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Man.
When your freedom is taken
not
away.
working all the
Sense.
time.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when your freedom's taken away, you losing time. You know, it's time away from life, enjoying life, living life, your
Yes.
kids, family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being in a nice ride, nice vacation. You
Right.
know, so prayers to all those as losing time and
Right.
lost freedom.
That's like the rebuilding on oneself, like after relationship.
Mm-hmm.
After relationship, I take the same amount of time that I was in relationship, not being in one.
That's good. That's good.
You gotta build you gotta get all that shit out. I don't want to go into another relationship carrying that baggage.
Well, a lot of people love what do they call your rebound relationship.
No.
A lot of people do it. They think because they need, again, that goes back to knowing yourself and
Right.
being
Right.
accepting and loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When a person don't love themselves, they are constantly looking for people to love on them
Right.
and to love them,
Oh,
or the
Lord.
title of love,
Right.
until they get broke again. So rebuilding your one of yourself is, again, what I mentioned earlier, is knowing there's a void in you that only God can fill. People are looking for it in alcohol and drugs, sex,
Man, tell me about it.
money, cigarettes. I mean,
Tell me about it.
everything but God. Then at the end of the day, I mean, and that's why I say God has the greatest way of making a person get on your knee. I just thank God, like He told me He had mercy on me, that He knew what to do to reach me. So for every individual, you know, just even thinking about the football player going cardiac arrest,
Yeah.
people were praying probably that never prayed.
Right.
And look at the miracle God has done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's things in life that will make you recognize
Oh, absolutely.
God is real
Chin checks.
and make you get on your knee and be like, God, please help.
Ugh.
You know, so whether you want to acknowledge God or not, He's a living God.
Don't make them make you.
Hey, that's the main thing right there. That's it.
Chapter 6.
All right.
Moving on.
Man. I think
From, like, you know, so many things you can move on from. What's the most pivotal thing that you had to move on from?
I love that word, pivotal. chaos moments. I think moving on speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Either you're going to stay broke, busted, and disgusted,
Right.
stay stuck, stagnant,
Right.
or you're going to tell your mind, I'm going to get up from here, snap out of it, and move on.
Move on. That's it.
You know, moving on, again, I feel like it speaks for itself.
Right. Right.
What
right.
are you going to do? Are you going to stay right there, wallow in what happened, wish you coulda, woulda, skip that,
Right. Like,
snip out of it, tell yourself, I can do better,
right. Right.
move on.
Move on like our ancestors.
What is your words to somebody that is stuck right now? Stuck, heartbroken, laying in the bed, can't move on. What could you say to motivate them right now to get them to get up and start their new journey?
I've noticed just by listening to people, I'm seeing more men stuck like that, more so than women. Women just move on. They just like go to the next. Then the guys are just moping around and hating, and that causes violence and shit.
Well, that's two things. To answer your question about moving on, to anybody out there, one, I would say the most important, you have to know there's only a void in you that only God can fill. Quit looking for it in a man, in a woman, in sex, drugs, alcohol, money. It's a lot of people are just insatiable, never satisfied, because that void in you, that godly void where God made you, Jeremiah 1:5, only God can fill that void. So where you are, it comes with, even people in AA, you got to acknowledge where you are. You got to acknowledge either I'm hurt, I'm broken, I'm broke, busted, and disgusted, but what are you going to do about it? You got to snap out of it and say, I'm going to get up from here. At the women's conference today, the first thing she was talking about get up. The first thing when you low down, even in my book, I referenced the time when depression hit me. I never knew about no depression.
Right.
Never knew what depression felt like.
Right.
But my daughter, that's why I said my kids were my saving grace. My daughter came to me. She said, Mom, we don't like how you're acting. I had just went through an ordeal like never before. Like I said, I didn't know about depression. I didn't know depression make you lay in bed, make you eat a lot of junk, make you not want to move.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about that. But what made me snap out of it, my daughter at the age of 11 said, we don't like how you're acting. When she said that, I knew I had to snap out of where I was because it was starting to impact them.
Yes, Lord.
So a lot of things, if you don't resolve it, it can impact your kids. It can impact your next move. So a lot of people think because they're in the new year of 2023, if you didn't resolve what happened to yourself in 2022
Right.
and say, I'm going to take on a new mindset, you can just stay where you are.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a different 2023.
Right.
So if you do what you always done, you get what you always got.
Yeah.
And then to piggyback on that statement about men, what I found out about men is men love hard. A lot of men, and like I said, depending on the man, some men haven't been raised in a loving home. A lot of men have to raise themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the reason it takes time to get to know a person. But when men love, they love hard.
Right on.
And when they get broken, a lot of them do get stuck.
We break hard. We break into millions of little pieces.
I've seen it. I've seen it with men.
Yeah.
I've seen it with men. And that trust barrier. It's hard for men. Some men, that's when they just start running through women. It's not a commitment no more. It's just how many women can I have, and not. So when I say my male buyers or my supporters, they tell me how these books have really given them a new point of view in looking at things, and it's a tool in the book of healing, hope, help. So if you want healing, hope, and help, my book, especially for men out there, my heart goes out to you all. I am a fisher of men. I draw men, and if men come to me for the wrong thing, oh, she's pretty, no, I direct them to my purpose. It's about purpose for me, nothing personal.
I'm going to bite my tongue. No.
What?
I was going to say something.
What Vincent? What Vincent?
Are these men straight?
Look, we want to say they are. In this day and time, this
you don't
reason.
know.
I'm telling you, this day and time, I really, as King Jesus let me know about relationships he want me in, I got to know this is the mate for me because I don't got time for no
Right.
foolishness. Now, if you don't know what you want or who you are, stop what you're doing, come to yourself first
Last
and,
chapter.
approach somebody.
Last chapter we're going to talk about before we cut this episode off.
Yes.
Once again, we're going to have multiple episodes. God willing. Right?
Yes, multiple.
Times, chapter 7, in your book, Purpose and My Passion.
Or check this out. I would just, on the highlight of times, I'm just going to say times do change. Just
Yep.
like seasons.
Yep.
We have, in Kentucky at least, we have winter, spring, summer, fall.
Right.
So I'm going to say in life, and for all those who read the Bible and those who don't read the Bible or those who want to find it in the Bible, Ecclesiastes 3 is a book and a chapter that talks about times, that there's a time for this, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to be born, a time to die. And one of my favorite verses, verse 11, he makes everything beautiful in his time. So for my books, he has made something beautiful in time. So one of the chapters I wanted to jump to before we close was helping people snap out of it. I
Right.
wanted to say that's my last chapter in this book. Like I said, there's a lot of nuggets in here,
Right.
a lot of tools and nuggets, but I want to hit on this snap out of it chapter. Some people don't know what they need to snap out of, so I
Right.
just want to give a small educational moment real quick.
I'm on it. Open your books.
On page 57. So page 57 of this book. All right. It says, throughout life until we leave this world and go into eternity to stand before King Jesus, we will have to overcome obstacles that we must snap out of. We cannot escape some pains, the unexpected, the turbulences, the highs and lows, but God will get us to the point where we snap out of it. All right? Snap out of what? You may ask. Examples are the following. Okay. If any of these hit you, just say ouch. And it's time to snap out of it. All right. Snap out of not making God a priority. For those who say they don't believe in God, that's your choice. But at the end of the day, every knee's going to bow.
Right.
Snap out of making people a priority. Too many people are people pleasers. They can't do nothing in life. They can't step into purpose. They can't, walk on their own.
Right.
Take a trip on their own without feeling, oh, I got to take somebody with me. People pleasing. Do something for yourself. Snap out of anger. Don't be angry no more. If you're not with this person, they did you wrong, forgive them for yourself. Keep it moving.
Right.
Don't be angry. Snap out of it.
Right.
Snap out of things of the past.
Right on. Y'all listening out there? Y'all listening. Man, y'all listening.
Leave the past in the past. What can you do about it?
Right.
Move on. All right. Snap out of guilt. All right. You got to forgive yourself. If you don't forgive yourself, to me, I put it in my first book, it's like you're behind a stone wall
Right.
with only a small entry to get out of. And if you don't forgive yourself, you're not even going to know how to get out of that one entry of where you are. Okay. So snap out of shame. We all make mistakes. Some are bigger than others. But the main thing is, again, I admit it, I did it, I quit it. But now it's time to snap out of it.
Right.
Snap out of discouragement. If you need a better job, go apply for one. Don't stay there and all frustrated, angry. Go get a new job. Do something different. Snap out of fear. People can never go places because they're fearful. Fearful to be by themselves. That's why I know that people are in bad in toxic relationships.
Yeah.
Because they are running from themselves. Stop running from yourself. Embrace yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. Say, I love me. Do it. Say it how many times you need to.
Right.
Snap out of people pleasing. Snap out of self-doubt. Snap out of depression. Okay, season times change, but you have to be an active participant in your change. Snap out of being lied to. If you're in a relationship, you feel all these red flags, stop lying to yourself.
Yep.
Stop lying to yourself. Stop being lied to. Stop letting people lie to you, manipulate, and control you. Okay? Stop being a doormat. Snap out of giving people passes. Sometime in life, when a person already burned you 1, 2, 3, 4 times, yes, the Bible says forgive, but you don't have to be a fool to keep entertaining somebody that keep hurting you over and over. Just taking the bandage off and keep causing the same pain over and over.
Amen.
Sometimes you just got to move on.
Right.
Snap out of being anything less than who God made you. A lot of people keep trying. That's what, people looking at all these plastic people on TV. They're fake butt. All these Brazilian butts causing people to die. All these fake boobs,
Eyelashes. Don't
eyelashes,
forget
right?
that.
All the above, all this fake stuff. Stop being fake. Be you. Don't try and mimic and copycat people. Be yourself.
Right.
You are dishonoring God. You are dishonoring yourself because you're not being yourself and embracing yourself. All right? Snap out of being abused. Quit and let that man or woman smack you. A lot of men, I've come across men where they let women abuse them. That is, I mean, it's crazy on both ends. But I know a lot of women cry wolf and they manipulate the system to get over on women.
Yeah.
So if you're in that type, run from it. Don't give up your freedom for somebody's ignorance. Don't
Right.
let yourself get locked up and locked down because of somebody else's ignorance.
Right.
Snap out of those things. Snap out of being confused. You're not confused. You're a grown person. You know what you want. Stop doing it. Snap out of it. Snap out of asking why this happened. You got to answer your own questions, okay? Snap out of explaining yourself. Sometimes it just gets to a point where you get tired of explaining yourself. And there's so many more other things you can snap out of.
Yeah.
So I hope you're getting the gist of what I'm saying. If you're going to have a better 2023, it's going to be up to me. It's up to you. So that's when you say 2023 is up to me. How well and how great it's going to be. All right? So my pain birthed my purpose and my passion. I snapped out of it.
So what can we find? What can they find it again?
You can message my LLC, Loving the Uniquely You. It's on Amazon, hardcover, paper, and Kindle. All right. So I've loved this, guys. Kendrick,
Yeah, make
Vincent.
sure y'all share this. Make sure save a life. Share this.
Yeah.
Share this
Yes.
episode.
We heard this
don't
again,
know.
and we'll put it down at the bottom.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's something we gotta re-show.
definitely.
Put the text down at the bottom so they can get to these books.
Awesome. Appreciate you all.
We appreciate you coming out, and
Yes.
we'll have you again soon.
All right. Sounds playing. I got you.
All right. Well, thank y'all for listening
Yeah.
and enjoying us with this, and I guess we'll have to.
Take it to the streets, man. Look, I'm gonna be dressed better, but I won't be dressed like my brother Scoot, man. God bless Scoot, man. He done passed on from us. He's up there with the Lord. But this is my first one, not my first go around with my brother here, but it's my first interview with Take It to the Streets. Thank you for being my first interviewer.
Oh, my pleasure.
Interviewee, which one is it?
Interviewee.
Yeah, there you go. So God bless everybody, and take heed to this great message I just listened to. Share it, please share it.
Yep. Happy New Year's.
Bye.
How was the views?